How did you get to New York City?
Well, I had been doing comedy in DC for 4 or 5 years, and Patton Oswalt, you know,
Yeah, sure.
he was putting out a special or something, and he did this show that there used to be this bar show called Big Hunt that all the DC, it was the cool place in DC, and Patton Oswalt did a show at Big Hunt and just invited all the comedians to just come see it. And in the show, he told us, kind of scolded us, and DC is like a super good scene. Like the crowds are amazing, but it makes you lazy a little bit. It can. And he kind of told all the comedians, he's like, you are living, this is not the real world, this DC scene, and you need to leave. I'm telling you, you should leave. And I was like, okay. And so then I think that was probably in the spring or something, and then by summer I moved to New York.
What did he mean by that? That you're getting too lazy? What was he detecting?
The audiences are just too easy. Everybody that comes from DC and leaves and comes back is like, it's just because you're like in New York, let's say if you start out as a new comic, you'll do open mics for like years where you're not really in front of people. You're just in front of other comics. It's very hard. You develop a thick skin. DC, the open mics would have like 40 real audience members, and they're like great for like it's very warm and nurturing in that way. So in that sense, it's good. But then you just start doing that, and you're having fun immediately, and you're like, I'm kind of like crushing and all this stuff, and so you don't go any higher because you're like, well, I do real shows every night. I feel like I'm a comedian, and then you move here and look back, and you're like, oh, that was fake and not indicative of what it's like.
Not transferable to the rest of the country or the world in terms of expecting that level of warmth and feedback. Yeah,
I mean, it's not like the comics who are there get good there. Like it's a good place, but you just when you come here, you're so it's like such a bucket of cold water that you're like, oh my god, I gotta figure out like social media or something, you know, I got to make a real career of this. Whereas DC is just so like warm and easy and nice that it's easy to just go do a 5-minute spot, go home and be like, yeah, all right. And then that's what you're doing for years.
Is that because in part there are just fewer venues, and so there's always a captive audience in DC versus New York, which has far more?
Could be.
Yeah.
There's way fewer comics. It could be that the ratio of comedians to audience in DC is better for comedians, I suppose. I mean, a lot of the sort of second tier, like not New York and LA cities are like that. But DC was like especially like that. It's a little not as good now, I think. But when I was there, it was like insane.
And I guess it can just inflate your ego.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember moving here, and because I had climbed up the little ladder in DC to some extent. And so I would tell people here, I'd be like, yeah, I'm in at this place and this place and this. And they'd be like, I don't even know what that is. I thought I'd have like little mini credits. Cause I'm like, I'm at the DC Improv. They're like, that's nice. And it didn't do anything.
So you came here in the summer. What'd you do? What happened?
Well, I got here and started over at comedy. I had a day job. I immediately started doing open mics. Bombed for about a year. I think I got worse at comedy for the first year because open mics are so bad. That was the funny thing about Patton Oswalt show too. In like New York, the worst feeling shows you can do are the true open mics where there's no real audience. It's just other comics. And so because he invited all the comics, that was all that was there. So it's like you made your sort of special taping party thing a shitty open mic where just other comics were watching.
And so you really took his advice to heart. And was that really the reason why you decided to move? What was it about him that made you not? Why didn't you just think this guy's full of shit? Like, I'm staying here. Like, what part of you believed you must have believed he was correct?
Yeah, well, I had heard other people from New York say similar things about DC. And I was probably pretty cocky too. Like I had I did not have an accurate sense of how hard New York would be. I was like, yeah, I'm doing good here. I'll probably go there and immediately get into clubs, and it'll be just to launch me. And it wasn't like that at all.
Like a crucible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was very hard, but good for you, I think, ultimately. I mean, you have to start over. Like,
And where did you start? I know it sounds like you went to open mics, but do you remember relatively clearly like where you went, how long it took for you to feel like you were making some progress and improving?
I did 9 months of just open mics as much as I could. My first open mic was in Brooklyn Heights area called O'Keefe's. It's still there on Sundays. 9 months. I didn't do like any shows. I just did open mics. My material got sad and weird because it's that's what it does to you, I think. I didn't really start having any success until I started producing stuff. So I started running my own shows. A big turning point for me was kind of like I had applied. So New York Comedy Club used to do this class, and if you took the class, you could audition. And I auditioned and thought I did good, and then I didn't get it. And I remember just being like crushed. And I decided I was like I decided my question I always ask is like, what if the industry was never going to help me, and I just knew that for a fact right now? How would I proceed?
Yeah.
And so I've always tried to do that. So I just started all my own shows, tried to grow my own social media, sometimes to my own disadvantage, but I'm like, I'm going to do this without assuming I will get no help.
Yeah.
And then if someone helps me, that's great, but I'll just assume they won't.
And so was it really a year of you grinding, not getting in at the New York Comedy Club that made you think like, it's time for me to do something independent?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because I saw these people at open mics that were really funny just at open mics, and they'd been there for years. The thing in smaller scenes, because everyone kind of knows everyone, there's like a hierarchy.
Yeah.
And once you get a certain level funny, somebody above you will be like, hey, you should talk to him and we'll get you into the next level up and stuff. But New York is so big and you're so anonymous that doesn't really happen. Like there's no way out of the open mic scene from in the open mic scene. So I was like, all right, I'm going to have to kind of build my own ladder or else I'll just be here forever.
And what'd you do? What was the next step?
The first thing I did was I started a bar show. I started a comedy show at Ample Hills, this ice cream shop.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
And they had, there's a little chain, and they had a big following. So lucky for me, like without really knowing how to do any marketing, my shows would just like sell out every week. So suddenly I ran one of the better shows in Brooklyn.
Wow.
And then that propels you into the kind of bar show scene. People want to do your show, so you trade spots. And then, eventually, like if you're decent, people will just see you and start booking you organically. So that really helped.
Could you tell you were getting better? How it's got to be difficult to know if you're improving. Like how could you tell, or do you tell if you're getting better as a comic?
Yeah, well, that's why I hated the open mics, because I felt like I couldn't.
There's no feedback.
Literally none. And I would go back down. I remember I did the open mics for 9 months, and then I got booked at the DC Improv to host. And I was so pumped. I was like, all right, I'm coming back to DC, going to do all my New York City cool material, and I bombed my balls off. It was like,
oh, shit.
I was horrible. It was worse than I was, 9 months before, because open mics incentivize, it's just weird. It's like sad, weird people. You get a lot of, the thing open mics do is you get a lot of false negatives where you'll try a premise and nobody responds. So you're like, oh, I guess that sucks. And it's like, no, they're just on their phone. Like you should have tried it more. Or what would annoy me more is I would get false positives and I'd have something that would crush, but it's just for comics. So I didn't realize I'm playing to the back of the room. And then I would do a real show for people, and they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I would say these bits with this confidence that like, get ready to laugh, and it would bomb, and I'd be like, what is happening? So then I got my Ample Hill show going. That was on Fridays. And because I knew I was like, I need real stage time, I used to take the bus back down to DC where I could get real spots every week. So I'd go down like Tuesday, do spots Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in DC, take the bus back up for my show Friday, and then do like open mics, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
I'd love to rewind a little bit. Like, how the hell did you know you wanted to even get into comedy in the first place?
I started in high school. There was this, I was just like a really shy kid, but I could make kind of jokes. And I used to like flirt with this girl who was like really out of my station. And but I could make her laugh, and I eventually started writing down stuff that worked. And then I just started liking the jokes more than I liked the flirting. I was like, I don't even care that you like it. I'm doing this for me now. And then I did. There was this talent show. I went to a school called Deep Run, and there was Mr. Deep Run, where all the boys would do this talent show pageanty thing. And I did stand up for that, and it went well. Like really, I like crushed. I wasn't good. It was very bad, but it was just a very warm, easy crowd. And then I had a massive ego, so I was like, I can do this. Because I mean, it was like like an auditorium, so it's 300 people, and I got like applause breaks and stuff. And I was like, well, I just made everyone laugh and got applause breaks, and that's what Louis does. So I feel like I'm ready.
And so then, did you continue that in college? Like when you got to college, what was that experience like? What were you up to? What were you doing?
Well, the first year was tough because I started when I was 17. So most shows are at bars and I couldn't get into them.
Yeah.
So then my mom had to come and she would take me to these open mics where it would be, I started first in Richmond, Virginia. So it would be all these, 30 something like gross Richmond open micers, me and my mom. So they would just go up there and be like, I'm going to fuck your mom. And I'd be like, I don't like these. So that was the first year. And then, DC, similar problem. Now my mom's not there, so I can't get into bars again. So I got a fake ID just to do stand up. And I would get like called out for having a fake ID because it was like bad. And also I looked really young for a long time. Now I don't, but I used to. So I'd get called out and still I would have okay sets, but I was always held back. I was very shy into college even, so I didn't really meet the other comics. But yeah, first, I don't know. It was probably like most people's starting out in comedy. It was, except that I had a massive ego. So even if I had a bad set, I was like, that's pretty good. I had that kind of thing for a while.
Do you think the shyness and the interest in stand-up are related?
Yeah.
How so?
Yeah, I heard, actually, Marty told me this. It was a Freud thing, but that anybody who gets into entertainment, what it is they're just not good at the being charming and that sort of hierarchy of like socializing and getting girls and stuff. So then you get into entertainment to invent this new thing that you're the best at. So then it makes up for your lack of, I think that's why I and many people get started, but then you get so interested in the craft that you're like, actually, I don't care about the social thing. And then it takes over.
You were saying earlier before we were recording that you studied econ in college.
I studied econ.
Did you always have your eyes on comedy as a future for yourself or not necessarily?
Pretty much, since I started writing jokes about a year before I even did stand up. So by like 15 or 16, I was like, I want to do this. It just didn't seem like a possible thing. It seemed like a silly little kid aspiration.
Yeah.
But then after I did the first show and it went well, and I had like actual adult people coming up to me and saying that was good, then I was like, oh, maybe I could like really do this.
As you think back on that time period, like outside of just having the balls to go do that in front of people, which most people never do, what do you think you had or qualities that helped you get that kind of a positive reaction from a crowd in general? I guess it's another way to ask that is like, what in your mind makes for a good young comedian?
I think probably the advantage I had was, when you start out, you just rip off a comedian that you like.
Yeah.
What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I was lucky. My favorite person when I started out was Dimitri Martin, who's like a one-liner guy. And his jokes are easy to understand for a high schooler because the structure is right there for you. Whereas if you like a storyteller, the kind of joke structure is hidden in the narrative.
Yeah.
So I started out with one-liners. So I like when I went on stage, you could at least identify that these are jokes, even if they weren't amazing. You're like, he told a joke, good job. Whereas a lot of comics start out and you're like, what the fuck are they? They're just crazy. They just sound insane, and it's because they're mimicking a difficult type of act. So I really think that's, I can say the setup, pause, and then here's the punchline, and you're like, all right, well, cute,
Let's get back to New York. So you start, is it Ample Hill? Is that where
Ample Hill's the ice cream place.
Ample Hill. So let's start from there and move forward as to how your career progresses in comedy in New York. You're there for, I would imagine, a while doing stand-up, sold-out shows.
Yeah, we did the weekly Ample Hill show. It was me and my fiance ran it together for a while. and that was going pretty good. And then the pandemic, so that was helpful, and I was getting real stage time and started actually improving in New York. And then the pandemic hit because I moved up to New York in 2018, so this was Ample Hills was probably a year-ish. Pandemic hits, and then that's when I kind of realized, like, I don't think, like, if you drew a line out from where I am now and just mapped on, like, my growth and what I'm doing, I don't know that this leads anywhere, really. So the pandemic, I was like, it seems like social media is the thing. So day one of the pandemic, I was like, I'm making a video every day until I figure this out. So I ended up doing 77 videos. Just one a day, and then like 2 of those went viral, and I kind of learned how to. I only stopped because it was you remember the during the Black Lives Matter, the post a black square thing.
Sure, yeah.
I was like, well, I can't post my silly video because everybody will get mad that I didn't do the. So I was just like, all right, this will be my endpoint, because I wasn't sure how long race relations would be a problem on TikTok. So anyway, I stopped, but yeah, that, and then as soon as I could, we went back to New York. We started the Ample Hill show again. They had an outdoor space, so we did that. And then I was like, well, if I can do one show, I could probably produce more. Like, I don't think producing a second show will be twice as much work. I think there'll be kind of a economy of scale thing that happens. So then me and my fiance did like 7 bar shows. Like, we had one a day. And it was the pandemic, so all the clubs were closed. So I was doing more stand-up than like anybody. And then I also wanted to see how quickly I could develop my writing ability. So I started trying to do the Louis thing where you do an hour a year. So I put out a special right after the pandemic of all the material I had, dropped it, and then wrote a new hour and tried to do that. And I've now done that 4 times. So yeah, that was my trajectory, I guess. I was just like, no one's going to help me. And then the pandemic made me realize like how much work it's really going to take. So I started a ton of shows, tried to put out as much content as I could, and then write more than anybody. My thinking has always just been, I'll just do more volume than everybody else.
Yeah.
Because I'm not an especially talented or smart fellow. So I'll just do 10 times as much.
You said you had 2 of those 77 videos that went viral. What did you learn about, if anything, how to do that? Because it does seem like that's, for a lot of comedians, how they're trying to get attention.
Yeah, it's I mean, just a hook. So I realize my theory on it now is to be the best way forward, or the fastest way forward for social media is we all have to be kind of like Jeff Foxworthy. You know, he's got that "you might be a redneck." If you need to come up with a hook phrase and just say it 1,000 times into the camera with slight variations, and you will get famous. So my first one that went big, the joke was about the first line of the video. I go, a lot of people don't know this, but cursive was actually discontinued in 2004 because it's just too sexy. It's too curvaceous and it's too sexy. So I realized, like, oh, I can say "did you knows" that are wrong, and then do jokes, and people will either laugh at the joke or correct me, and that'll get. I mean, I got thousands of comments being like, "No, I took cursive in 2009," and
Whoa.
And it went viral partly because, I mean, it was funny, but also because people were like, "You're a fucking idiot." And it's like, okay.
And that entry point of "did you know" sort of became like a staple for you?
I do a lot of fake "did you knows." I'm trying to think of another one that, I had a bunch that were like, if you were born later than 1996, you didn't, get punished as a kid. Like, kind of like generation baiting, and then just say some absurd, stupid thing. I had one of them that went viral that was like, if you were born later than 1996, you don't know geography. And I was like, I bet you don't even know where like Hartford is on this map. And it was just a picture of boobs that I drew. Like, just like stupid stuff like that. But just just first sentence is a hook and then a punchline in a way where people can tell me I'm wrong about stuff. And I misspelled Connecticut on purpose, so people will correct me. I had thousands of people being like, that's not how you spell Connecticut. I'm like, whoops.
These are 15-second videos? How long?
15 to 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you do one a day?
I did. Now I don't. But although now my new goal is to try to do 50 a week for the club and my own stand-up and other.
50 a week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. My thinking with that is, I heard this. Do you like Alex Hormozy?
I've listened to him a little bit. I'm not a super fan, but yeah, he's a smart guy.
He had this analogy where he's like, if somebody told you to go as quickly as you can, go like a block, you'd like sprint. And if somebody told you as quickly as you can go like 10 miles, you'd like get a bike or a car. So like when the goal, like if you have 50 pieces of content to put out a week, your frame changes. Like you're not just going to write 50 little things that would take too long. So you'd have to figure out like a mechanism that churns out content quickly. So that's what I knew thinking about it.
Have you considered going back for your personal brand, for your own Instagram, to like do more of a daily hook short video now that the pandemic's over? Or
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, so I quit my day job a few weeks ago, and my main thing I'm going to do is just content. So any hook that I know has worked in the past, I'm going to start doing. And then reaction videos, I think that's the best bang for your buck, effort to potential virality. Reaction
to current events.
Whatever. Yeah. I have another channel where I react to Avatar: The Last Airbender content. And that too, I had a series where I would make up a pretend. Do you know the show at all?
I don't know.
It's there's the Avatar who's like kind of the chosen one, savior of the world kind of thing, but he gets reincarnated. That's so theoretically there's a bunch of avatars before the one we follow in the show, and I would just make up fake ones and be like, did you know before the one you saw there's this other one, and then make up stupid stuff about him. And then people would either get it's a joke or be like, no, that's not true, where did you even hear that? And I would just go, no, trust me. So those would all go viral. So and now I just react to the episodes.
When one of those hits and you can tell like this one is probably going to go viral, like the gain for you personally, I'm assuming, is people that are just following you. Is there any immediate financial component to that? Or is it more just like building a brand, creating more of an audience for yourself?
I mean, the overall point is to build the audience, but I've already, and I'm not huge. I mean, I got on like my personal Instagram, I'm like 50 something thousand, and this Avatar thing's like nothing, but I got like a headphone brand reached out and gave me like $900 for some videos. They're making an Avatar: The Last Airbender video game, and they reached out and asked if I'd make content for it. That one fell through, but I think, there's money if you're clever.
I'm guessing you've probably run the math on this because you just quit, but like what would be an amount per month you might be able to earn now that you're going full time that you'd be satisfied with?
I mean, ideally, I'd like to get it to. I wasn't making a ton. Like my salary was like $80,000, so it was like comfortable.
Yeah.
So if I get comedy there, I would be. I'm sure I wouldn't even be. I'm sure I wouldn't be happy if I got it there, and I'd want it to be further, like everybody. But that's what I tell myself.
And do you think that's within striking distance? Like that's possible?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem comics have is there's no actual obvious path to like what do you sell?
Yeah.
Like if you were to talk to a comedian, if a comedian was to go on Shark Tank and pitch you their business model as a comedian, it would be like, I am going to get crazy famous and then convert like 0.3% of my followers to like in-person ticket sales at some point in the future, which is insane.
Yeah.
It's like if any coffee shop was like, we're going to be the most famous coffee shop you've ever heard of, and then we'll sell coffee just online to our followers sometime.
Not investing.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So now I have a comedy club, so I can convert things to money way faster because I have a thing that captures customers and actually makes money. I sell something, unlike most comedians.
So you also can drive ticket sales, basically. Like you can help drive traffic into your business.
Yeah. I have a thing that
Yeah.
What do you call that?
Pipeline.
I have the bottom of the pipe. I'm selling something. I think that's what I've realized people are missing. And also, I think I'm going to take all my specials off YouTube and sell those too. As like a bundle for like $10 or something. I want to sell stuff.
Yeah. Let's get to how the Flophouse came to be.
Sure.
How that happened. It sounded like from very on in your career, you realized that there was a lot of power in creating your own opportunities for yourself and not expecting that other people are going to be giving you access who are gatekeepers to certain clubs and opportunities.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear in as much detail as you want to share how the Flophouse came to be, how you came to be involved in it.
Well, so me and my brother were talking about starting something for a while. Actually, no, it really started. So I had all these shows and some other comics had started a club in Lower East Side called Sesh.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah, it's great. And
Yeah.
they didn't want to do it anymore. They wanted to go on the road and stuff. So they were going to sell it. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about this. It's fine. They were going to sell it. And it was because I had all these shows. They were like, oh, you're a good, competent producer. You can probably do it. So it was between me and this other guy who eventually got it. And they sold it to him. And he's done a great job. But that experience and really thinking about like, because I thought I was going to get it. So I was starting to like make plans and stuff. And then after I didn't, I was like, I bet I could still do it though. So then me and my brother kind of had a loose plan to start a thing. And then we partnered with some other people and that didn't really work out. But we found a venue and just got it going from there.
What was the most difficult aspect of actually taking an idea or a desire of wanting to have your own comedy club and eventually many months later opening the doors? It could be more than one thing too, because I know this was probably extremely difficult, but
yeah, it's sort of two, like starting, like going from not an idea to just opening the doors of a business is like one set of problems. And then once you have it, maintaining it and growing it is like another thing. So initially the problem was just when all you have is an idea, it's easy to like not work on the idea.
for sure.
So that was
It's a hallucination.
Yeah. And people like once you have a lease, then the
Shit gets
motivation
real.
is that, you're like, oh my God, I owe $5,000 soon. So
Yeah.
I got to figure this out. So initially it was just, actually making it, like getting anything to happen. Cause my little brother was like, kind of more just like, I'll invest money in a project if you can kind of bring me the whole project. And then I was working with other comics who like weren't that interested. They said they were, but they didn't actually do stuff. And also, we there's a lot of like annoying government-y things you have to do at the beginning, and I find those tasks frustrating.
Yeah. What are those, if you remember?
Well, you got to get licenses for a bunch of stuff. You have to go to weird meetings at senior centers that are like we had to go to the like Williamsburg like small business bureau meetings, and you have to like go in front of a board and like explain to them what your business is, and if they'll let you know if they I really resented it. Maybe it's my George Mason libertarian-ness.
Yeah.
But having to be like, we're going to start a comedy club and it's going to be like this, and having them be like, okay, that sounds good. I was like, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Like, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of licenses. You have to figure out insurance. And I also learned early on, anybody who I'd work with, I would preempt our working together. Like if I was working with a contractor or somebody, I'd be like, I've never had a business before. So, any help would be great. And then they just like, oh, cool. And they would just fuck you. They charge you like 4 times what they're supposed to because they know you don't know. And they got me several times.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then once we started the business, a hard part about comedy clubs in particular is they need a certain amount of people at every show or else the show feels bad.
Yeah.
Even if you have great comics, if there's
Yeah.
6 people, everyone's like, oh boy.
Yeah.
So that's when you're starting out, you will have bad shows. And so it's like embarrassing. So then you want to cancel the show to not have the embarrassment. But then if you cancel every show, we'll never grow. So that's a tough thing early on.
How do you try to have great shows? I totally agree with you, by the way, about having 6 people in the audience. Like you could have some of the best comedians in the world and it would just feel,
it's weird.
Seeing the empty chairs around just does something to the vibe.
Yeah. We got lucky in that the space, the physical space of Flophouse is such that it can fit like 70 people, but if you only had 12, you can arrange the chairs so it feels okay.
Yeah.
So like our minimum threshold for what makes a decent show is much lower than like other places.
Yeah.
And also just some business model stuff. Like at first we were BYOB to try to sell more tickets. We realized that we dropped that and we probably lost maybe 10% of our audience because they wanted to come for BYOB. But then once you're selling drinks, you can like paper the room a bit. So now it's like if I only half sell out the show, I can just give away tickets for the other half, sell drinks and still make money. So then I can make more shows good. So then we get better word of mouth and grow like that.
We talked about this offline a little bit, but the major revenue source, and I think this is probably true for most comedy clubs, is the alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if there's any more to say about that, but like, is it just that you can mark up the price enough and people are happy to buy a $6 beer, an $8 beer in New York, and you can make some money on that?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I never knew this. Maybe I'm just dumb. I didn't know how cheap wholesale alcohol is. You sell a beer for like $6-7, and everyone's like, that's a good deal on a beer. You bought it for 75 cents.
Yeah.
And then if you have a tap, it's even, I think a beer out of the tap is like a nickel. It's crazy. So yeah, just get 60 people in a room, sell them all a beer. You know, probably make, and we've gotten a bit more advanced because we're about a year and a half in. So now we actually can calculate our customer acquisition cost and what we like the value of a customer. But yeah, alcohol is the reason why we're alive.
You said earlier $5,000 a month. And I think you also said profitable. How is it going? I mean, how are you thinking about, I mean, selfishly, I live in this neighborhood and I would love to have an ongoing, flourishing comedy club in Williamsburg. And I know we talked about one that has already gone out of business recently. How are you thinking just as a business owner about making sure the bills are paid and the lights are on and you can keep this going?
Yeah. Well, so the first year we hemorrhaged money like most.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, not hemorrhage, but we were probably, I think we averaged my brother and I had to put in an average of $2,000 every month for the first year because we just weren't hitting our, whatever you call that, break even point. Then around December, we figured some stuff out, and immediately what we figured out was just to work with groups. Like trying to sell to individuals is very hard.
Yeah.
So we started, there's a ton of like dating groups, make new friend groups, whatever. So we just hit up all of those and just gave them deals. And we got, 5 or 6 that were interested. And then suddenly that's like 3 guaranteed sold out shows a month on like a Tuesday, which normally would have made $0. Now it makes $800.
Yeah.
And it's like recurring revenue if you do a good job. So we realized like, let's just find people who've done the work of getting an audience and just invite their audience.
Great idea.
Which is not a long-term play, but it has made it so now we have enough cash flow where I can like try other ideas. That's a really hard thing when you're a new business and you have no money. You have to try and fail, and you just don't have that many at bats because you need to like pay rent. Yeah. So yeah, now we're profitable enough where I can try new kind of advertising schemes. And now that I quit my day job, I can just pump time into making content. So
that's cool. So you're both a business owner and a comedian. Talk to me about the comedian part of your life. Like, are you exclusively doing stand-up at the Flophouse? Are you still working elsewhere? How is that going?
Pretty much just at Flophouse. I mean, I'll do spots if they work with the schedule of Flophouse, but like I said before we started, I can't afford to have like employees. So if I'm not there, like it's hard to, I have to have someone at the bar. Like I do all that stuff. Yeah, it's funny. I remember, so like, I think, New York Comedy Club, not getting in there was so devastating. I started all this stuff. I got in there last year, or the year before. I don't even go. I stopped putting in avails because I'm like, I don't want it anymore. It's not worth it. I have my own club. So I do more stand up now than I ever have, but it's almost exclusively at Flophouse just because it's too annoying logistically to.
Is your passion equal in the business ownership, in the comedy? How are you thinking about where you want to prioritize your general trajectory over the next few years?
I've thought about that, and people ask me about that a lot. I really do enjoy doing the business part of it. A lot of comics are like, oh, I do business because I have to, but I really just want to be an artist. I do like putting on that hat. But if somebody came up to me and was like, you can either only ever do stand-up again or only ever do the business again, and one of them has to go, I would pick stand-up without thinking about it. So yeah, this is the club is a means for me to launch a stand-up career where I don't need a day job and I have flexibility and freedom to make artistic things.
Yeah.
First and foremost, but I do enjoy the business part of it.
This is probably a decent segue into, and I like to ask guests about how they think about success in their life.
Yeah.
You have a lot going on right now. How do you think about that word as it applies to your career? Like if we talked in a year or 2 years or 3 years, what to you would be a successful career? And maybe it's already the life and career you have right now, but how do you think about that?
I would say I'm close. My goal is to make enough money at comedy where it supports my, like, I think freedom is the best thing that encaptured, I want to basically be able to just work on things that are interesting to me that I want to work on.
Yeah.
And I'm not constrained by no money. And if I can get there, I'll still probably not be happy. I'll still have that itch that I want to get but for right now, that would be the goal. So with the club, I'm closer than I've ever been, but not quite there. But my fiance makes a lot of money, so that's helpful. That's a trick for new comics.
That helps a lot.
Yeah. I don't know who I'm pointing to. Yeah.
Last question I'd love to ask is about advice you would have for, and you've given, I think, some really good advice about, especially the business aspect of running a club. What advice would you give a young comic or the younger version of yourself that was getting into stand-up when you were 17, but then also when you were after college and trying to make a career out of this? What have you learned about what matters, what's helpful to really try to launch a career? What knowledge and wisdom is important for people to keep in mind who are just starting out?
Yeah, the thing that my biggest kind of core belief around improving at this sort of stuff is, well, I guess it's a reaction to how a lot of comics think of it. A lot of people think of work in terms of, like, you can make things of quality or you can make a high quantity of things. And I think that this dichotomy is not only not real, but the opposite of true. If you want to get good at something, you should do a ton of reps. And yeah, you'll put out stuff that's not good, but you'll learn to make good stuff.
Yeah.
So that would be if it's content, if it's getting on stage, whatever, just do a ton of it. And it's also similar with business. You just want to take an idea and have it clash against reality and get feedback loops as fast as you possibly can. And that's how you grow. And when I figured that out, things I started, kind of moving.
Very cool.
And just to do social media. A lot of comics, especially in smaller scenes where they don't see other comics doing it, are like, I don't want to do this front-facing Instagram thing. It's boring. And it's like, too bad. That's the job. So that'd be my advice.
Dude, thanks for doing this.
Thank you for having me.